Happy Monday. The word for you today out of Hebrews chapter 10, verse 2 is worship, giving yourself to God. When you think of worship, what do you think of? A lot of people think of singing. Singing is part of worship, but there's a whole lot more to worship than that. In Hebrews chapter 10, verse 2 says, if it could, would they not have stopped being offered? For the worshippers would have been cleansed once for all and would no longer have felt guilty for their sins. What is he talking about? Well, he's talking about the sacrifices and how when people sinned, they would bring a sacrifice to the temple. And if that sacrifice took care of the sin, they wouldn't have to come back. But they had to come back time and time and time again. Why? Because they continued to sin, and the sacrifice didn't take away the sin. It just atoned for it for that particular time. So how do we do that today? Well, it's part of our worship. Part of our worship of God is how we tell him of how much we appreciate him, how much we love him, ask him to forgive us for our sins. Because Jesus came to die and take away the sin of the world. He came so that he was the sacrifice, so we didn't have to keep giving sacrifice after sacrifice after sacrifice. He is the sacrifice that made the difference. Bible says that it's not the sacrifice, the blood of bulls and goats that take away the sin, but it's Jesus Christ who does that. Our worship of God is not giving sacrifice. Our worship of God is not just acts of service. It's a lot more. It's when we truly worship God, we give of ourselves. And some people just seem to get lost in their worship, and that's okay. That's fine. But is that necessary? No, it's not necessary. Each of us worship in a different way, but we give of ourselves. It's more than just saying words. It's more than just singing. It's more than just praying or reading. It's genuinely giving God ourselves. Romans chapter 12, verse 1 says, therefore I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God, which is your spiritual worship. We are living sacrifices. That's kind of an oxymoron. A sacrifice is something that dies. But we are living sacrifices. What we're saying is, God, I give you me. Do with me whatever you want to. So when we truly worship God, there's a desire to want to worship him. I want to worship you, God, because of who you are, what you have done for me. So there's a desire to worship him, and there's also, we give ourselves to him. What does that mean? Well, when we give ourselves up to him, we don't really care what kind of music it is. We may like one music more than another, but if I'm truly worshiping God, type of music doesn't matter. If I'm truly worshiping God, the denomination of men doesn't matter. If I'm truly worshiping God, spending time with him is enough. Even it's just peace and quiet and just spending time, when we truly worship God, that's enough. Just time with him is enough. When you're with somebody that you really love, you really enjoy, you can sit there and not say a word, and it's good. It's good. You don't have to entertain one another. Just being in each other's presence is good. It's peaceful. It's wonderful. And that's the way it is with God. When we truly worship him, just being in his presence is enough. And all the other stuff doesn't matter. See, when we allow the music, when we allow other people, we allow light or dark or loud or quiet, when we allow those to affect us, we're not really worshiping him. We're allowing outside influences to take away our worship of him. Then as we worship him, he speaks to us. He wants to speak to us. We listen to him and then we obey. And if it's easy, you know what? Still, it's important. And if it's hard, it doesn't matter, because he'll equip us. And if it makes sense, okay. If it doesn't make sense, okay. When we're truly worshiping God, nothing else really matters except obeying him, spending time with him. And when we worship God, not only do we have a desire to worship him, not only do we give ourselves, But when we worship God, what other people think really doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter because we want to please Him. You know, you go to a ball game or a music concert, and it's going on and something happens, everybody's excited and you're cheering, and you don't care whether the people around you hear you cheer or not. Well, it's the same way in a relationship with God. What people think really doesn't matter because it's between you and God. And you know what? We all worship in a different way. Some of us are more demonstrative than others. Some of us are very quiet. It's okay. It's not about the style of worship. It's about us giving ourselves to Him. To truly worship God, we must give ourselves to Him. And then allow Him to ask of us whatever He will. And then we obey Him. Take time today. Take time today to truly, truly worship Him. Maybe it's just being quiet in His presence. Just enjoy that. Yeah, but He didn't really tell me to do anything. That's okay. Did you enjoy just being with Him? We don't always have to do something. Sometimes it's just being in His presence, like you are with a best friend, somebody that you just really enjoy. Today, when's the last time you were just in God's presence and you enjoyed it? Try that today. Have a good day.